It's midwinter in southern Tibet. At this time of year, the temperature often drops 20 degrees below freezing, so there's little for farmers to do until spring arrives and planting can begin. In this episode, Burglary, a lifelong Communist Party worker, gets a big surprise as she approaches retirement age. Lakpa, a local rickshaw driver, heads north in search of work. But he doesn't get the welcome he was expecting. And in Gyantse, the monks at the local monastery have discovered that some valuable statues have been stolen. The police suspect it's an inside job. This is Tang Mai, a small village just half an hour's drive from Gyantse. These villages were once the communes set up by Mao Zedong in the 1960s, and they're still run according to strict Chinese Communist Party guidelines, under the leadership of a district party secretary. Helping him is a team of local Communist Party officials. People like Burglary. Burglary joined Mao Zedong's Communist Party 40 years ago, and she's clearly a die-hard member. Tibet has been part of the People's Republic of China since 1951. It's through village meetings like these that the government is able to exert rigid control from the capital, Beijing, in a country over twice the size of the European Union. In Gyantse, Tibet's third largest town, the police are always busy. It's early morning. There's been a burglary at the monastery, the latest of a series of thefts in the past few weeks. The monks have discovered that 2 irreplaceable statues have been stolen. For Choephel, the director of the monastery, the loss is a big blow, but he's even more worried about the likely culprit. The burglary is going to give Choephel some serious problems over the next few weeks and bring him under the close scrutiny of the local Communist Party. In the main town is Lakpa, a local rickshaw driver. He's part of a growing Tibetan underclass that picks up work wherever they can. He's recently met the girl of his dreams, and they're already talking about settling down. Lakpa and Daron have been living together for the last month. In most of China, this type of behavior would be frowned upon, but not apparently in Tibet. At the monastery, Choephel's got his hands full, but it's not just the burglary. He also has problems with the behavior of some of the younger monks. Now, to make matters worse, a work team's been sent in by the local Communist Party to check out what's going on. Choephel knows that it's not only the theft they want to talk to him about. Choephel knows that the work team will be taking a very close look at how the monastery is run. He's genuinely puzzled over how the statues came to be taken. Already, the party officials are beginning to make changes. Choephel understands that changes must be made. The next order from the work team is for the monks to check the inventory. With security so poor, the work team have ordered all the valuables to be put away in a locked warehouse. All 5,000 of them. There's so much to do that even the head lama himself is helping out. Lakpa is waiting outside the monastery for a fare, but trade is slow. He'll have to do better than this if he and Daron are going to have a life together.
啊，那现在熊原别说了，米西藏啊怎么是？你这个这叫这是民的，就是咱那不米这来买的，但是八上的熊忙着弄。
With too much competition from motor rickshaws, Lakpa needs more than one string to his bow.
卸货的这些人路边就是蹬三轮车的吧，随便一叫就来了吧。这人很老实。哎，就是老实，造出人干活老实的很，干活可以。你看该头我落的面落得好好的。
And the pay?
10几个，挣不了这么多的。
Unloading trucks is just one of Lakpa's many casual jobs. Butri is on one of her regular visits to the local nunnery in her capacity as a Communist Party official. Throughout the 1960s, there was wholesale destruction of religious sites in Tibet. It's estimated that over 6,000 Buddhist monasteries were destroyed and only a handful survived. Today, the monasteries and nunneries are gradually being rebuilt, but the lives of Buddhist monks and nuns are strictly controlled by the government. And this is all part of Butri's job as a local party official. Almost every part of the daily lives of monks and nuns is regulated by the government. It's a way of making sure that any dissent or opposition towards the Communist Party is detected early and dealt with swiftly. Communist Party regulations are so strict that people like Butri aren't even allowed to visit monasteries unless it's part of their official duties. Butri has dedicated her life to the party for 40 years, and like all Communist Party officials in Tibet, she had to renounce Buddhism. A big decision for any Tibetan. But old habits die hard. Lakpa is at home with Daron, and his brothers are complaining about the lack of work in town. Ever since migrant workers from other parts of China came to Gyantse, wage rates have gone down. Lakpa has a new plan to earn some serious money. He wants to work on a building site in the town of Nachu, 600 kilometers away. But Lakpa's plan does have its risks.
That's all thing so does. Maybe visa young boy got a cushion someday. That and the junior Majunes and that. What how did she near Jidaga?
They have only a couple of days to prepare for their long journey north. At the monastery, the police still haven't caught the thieves. But the work team wants the security improved immediately. Deputy Head Lama Zultrim has been told to make changes. His first job is to install metal grills around the most valuable statues. It's the morning that Lakpa and his brother leave for Nachu. Dadon is going, as well as Lakpa's sister-in-law. Lakpa's mother is nervous about their plan. Traditionally, the kata is given for good luck. Lakpa's mother has no idea of the trouble her sons will soon face up north. Lakpa's sister-in-law, Gyantse, will be staying behind to look after her 2 little boys and his mother. The 600-kilometre bus journey to Nachu is going to take them 2 days, and it's the longest trip that any of them has ever made. The Chinese Communist Party constantly worries that some monks might secretly support the Dalai Lama and actively work towards Tibetan independence. They see this as one of the biggest threats to stability in Tibet. There's no suggestion that this is the case in the Pel Kor monastery, but the work team are very worried about the general behavior of some of the monks. And they're using the burglary to take a very close look at what's been going on. The monks might resent the intrusion of the officials, but there's nothing they can do about it. And there's worse to come. Lakpa has arrived in Nachu, a remote and desolate town in northeastern Tibet. Here, high on the Tibetan plateau, the winters are long, dry and cold. At night, temperatures often fall 20 degrees below freezing. There's plenty of work here for people like Lakpa because the locals prefer to have Tibetans build their houses rather than employ migrant workers from other parts of China. In the next few weeks, Lakpa's going to find out just how tough things can really get. Every year in March, throughout China, the Communist Party holds local meetings to coincide with the People's Congress held in Beijing. And it's the same in Gyantse. This is just another way to get the party's message across to a nation of 1.3 billion. people.
刚才书记这个重要讲话呢，一共有3个部分啊。第，这个呢，每晚3个来对也不别个估计调控的调研呢，直接给村里采取的，制作给单位的呢，上课期间提到了一个的呢，工人给的呢，能不停的几百次，大停的起步几百次，工作情况的报告。
In previous years, the Pel Kor monastery was commended for its good work. This year, they didn't get any praise, they weren't even criticised, they were simply ignored.
这些三百块的电影看啥别去跟吧。他谈了广播课堂吃小人呢，这个年组织他去，别啥的，他的马哲说他提的照要，别啥透明的，提上的，提到了看是把他，他到马当的年组，提进面马中的这3-3度。
下面请全体起立，走过了，响了，咱们也响了，1度。
Even after more than 50 years of communist rule, the natural rhythm of the seasons still dominates life in the countryside. Spring has finally come to the village of Tang Mai, and it's the beginning of the planting season. Tibetans celebrate over 20 traditional festivals a year, and Butri's job as a Communist Party worker is to make sure that people behave themselves during the celebrations.
有啥不的抢的，听说忙个动的，修吧的，地忙个钱的，那就忙个几个拉单了。地了没了就多，那那个早进早的老就这样，还可以没长嘛了，好地学习。那么就听路过来呢，老300人了，那几年没长面老就这样，还你个有地个，所以干过些个看家去了，做的就，所以干过些个看家。 创作的香牌、天巴牌、米牌，提前给看家去，军都可能就说的这个套了，给人苦些个老少，听路个老少忙得当，都去那是。
Today, it's the cow racing festival, and Communist Party rules aren't going to stop Tibetans from having a good time. The group have been in Nachu now for over a month, but there's been trouble on the building site, and Lakpa's been accused of fighting. Now the builder wants to confront Lakpa about the trouble he's caused.
대 내가 줄로서 대 컨트롤에 야 셰셰 땅 닌데 그 주당 지게 재미 다오는 지만에 주는 마지 나 대에는 닌데 제구시 뭐 배성에 가서 쇼이 다 강다마다 이 가자 간세네 마세네 건조 가자 셰죠 건드라이 도스베 내가 제죠 건이 안다 여르력다 두르지력다 나지 안세는 장슬로서 따르마대 쇼 저베 군대 나 장슬로서 따르마대 라고 되나 다주는 같이 재미 현다 당이 라고 미마트는 요 당고 가자 중세다 당고 그러는 따도 내가 내 거에 거기만 제가 내가 그러면 있어 되게 딱 가니 저기 다 남이 떼었어
They've all been thrown off the building site.
당당대한에서 당선에 뒤도 간연별섭다 간디스다 좀 늘러오고는 되게 방토하고라 미누미고라 여기고다 늘러오고 깼지 준일 미미지스다 니차 다고 더서 할로기서는 무들라 마트 바고 로기서 거기까지 주는 가마서는 그 둘시고니
工资全部现在就是要这样说的。我说这样说的，还没有那个房子还没修好，还没修好的话，就是我一分钱都没给。我说一分钱的我也没一分钱，但如果他们不给我了的，我怎么给你嘛？是不是嘛？
The group has to leave Nachu quickly, and the fastest way out is by train.
that's no color her they got you do secure bills that you are on the court demo. I guess it need
那几张？
sit down.
啊。这个硬座还是卧铺？
硬座。
204。
오늘 하루 농마거나 아버지가 민다야. 아자 여러를 비해서 강다게 여러 비해서. 이 돈결을 굴송다니 대지 굴ung야 대지 별. 그러다는 그 관다 자마도 다된 그 짝짝은 딱도 비신신. 태운데전에 태야 자마도 그 대지 누르군데전 심을거라는데 준니 되네나 누스베. 텔레가도 그러면 누르 띠리고라 샤다. 소정이 남는이 보시면 그 내로는 가잖아. 그땐 대중한테 고용나 도도 많가. 제
많아. 여기 내년 저기다 다 돼. 车票我看一下，这是装什么东西啊？这是装啥？
这个
不是打工的，
不是什么危险品，不是，
已经检查了。
骑小车票可以的。这放在座位底下啊，这太重了。
拿上去了。
上车吧。
From Chengdu will leave at once.
This is the first time that any of them have ever been on a train. The new train connecting Tibet to the rest of China is the highest railway in the world. It travels at an altitude of over 5,000 meters, where there's only half the oxygen that there is at sea level. Despite their problems in Nachu, Dadon is already thinking about her future with Lakpa. At the monastery, Choephel is cracking the whip, and he's called all the monks together. He's about to read them the riot act. The deputy lama, Zultrim, is responsible for discipline. He's just instigated a new policy of bonuses and fines in an attempt to control the behavior of the monks. Unfortunately, there are more fines than there are bonuses. Choephel freely admits he's struggling to maintain discipline in the monastery.
이내 딱 그셔 마칭 낭면 낭라 쪽에 생겨서도 우딘 낭라 쪽에 생겨서도 보모다 가버치게 생겨서도 다 대징에는 셔셔이네 직접 돈받다 숨마수 생에 그다 내서도 와 다티 코코라랑 미 그셔더라랑 게 팀내 가와 다 상계 때문에 그다 자와 시생죠 텐선에 가에 미 내서 여비나 코라랑 다 약슈리에 삼산도 그셔 코라람이 런국표 이내 단 런국 공수제와 이네
Lakpa is back in Gyantse, and when all else fails, he can always fall back on his rickshaw. In Tangmai village, Butri's got yet another problem to sort out. 6 months ago, the local school building was condemned as being unsafe, and the children had to take their lessons outside. In her position as a local Communist Party official, Butri was asked to organise the rebuilding of the schoolhouse. Unfortunately, things didn't go too well. Butri was supplied with poor quality materials and the cement wouldn't set properly. Butri is a party worker, not a builder, and she was clearly out of her depth. For Butri, however, complaints are exactly what she's going to get. Lakpa's new plan to make some serious money is to buy a motor rickshaw.
花13块嘛，这样可以。
你今年弄说不起，你呢价值他车厢可上去呢，俺们都没着，俺们都没着去，好吧？谁去没有吧？喇叭弄个喇叭，肯定弄个，
干的弄了，
很弄的。这呢，你懂古边我就学呗。
那是。
啊，
比如古边过来动的，
啊，
古边过来动的，
可得牛的，
自然就下来了。
可得牛的，可得牛呢。我们白天你懂古边上，可得钱，你懂古边钱，得钱30毛可能。
那是。
我拿着，好。
Lakpa has never owned a motorbike before, but in Tibet you don't need a license, and insurance isn't compulsory either, even for a passenger rickshaw. At last, Lakpa might just be able to make a new start in life. The government work team is back at the monastery, and they've come to approve Tsultrim's new security systems. For the first time in its 600-year history, the Pel Kor monastery is now under the watchful gaze of 21st century technology. But the monks also rely on more traditional security methods. Despite all the best efforts of the police and the party officials, they still haven't found the culprit. Butri's been called to a meeting of the village heads about the school building, and they're not very happy. Butri's been put on the spot, and she has to justify her position. All the heads of the local villages are very critical of Butri's work. It's Butri's job to sort out the problem and report everything to her superiors. The problems with the school building are going to come back to haunt Butri. Lakpa is now in business with his new motor rickshaw. And he's trying his hand at being a tourist guide too. He's taking his first customer and an interpreter to the old fortress in Gyantse, the site of an epic battle with the British when hundreds of Tibetan soldiers were slaughtered by a vastly superior army.
这也叫做英属城嘛，这个名字就是1904年，英军侵略西藏嘛，这时候在这里拿过战嘛。
没有啊。
几年前，1990年到这几就爬的这块嘛，是在前年几乎看到，很少看到，还有那个学校啦。 政府啦，这些有钢琴声音吧？啊，牧区嘛，牧区的话，羊啦、牛啦，牦牛。
你那社会什么时候结束的呀？
就是解放区解放后。
什么时候解放的？
什么时候？1954年呀，可能。
希望就是。
In front of a tourist, Lakpa's response is predictable.
希望就是共产党解放西藏，你觉得这样好是吗？
好，就是。 人人有自由嘛，奴隶时候是连自己做什么都没自由嘛。现在都好得很吧？
那我现在为什么会想到拉萨文了？
这生活太拼了吧？以前。
没有其他的可以选择的吗？你也上过学了？没有。
这个差不多2个月的钱，每天的我们吃饭了这些钱，这个人家的那些全部还清，赚了很多钱。我也想一个不开摩托车，然后又想学开着人家开的时候，这只不过是现在对现在情况来看到梦想嘛。
The work team has now been in the monastery for several weeks, and Choephel has got the message loud and clear.
다 어두라는 게 다고 자두어지 나라는 세계 다 개치쇼고 낭치쇼배 삼바스 간다르 대바 딘데도 어디 용시에 뭐다 간요아디 다 말락 다지 저당 간나서 미워미 버규라는데
Butri has just come out of a Communist Party committee meeting. Both she and her district party secretary, Kime, are shocked by the news.
다른 가서 주로 다듯이 스메트라 티니셔스
나 땡기 키오들 땡기 차요들 태견도 이 볼로 납중이가 연도도 심발로 투지시네 간다도 림베 로레림에 되고 해서
내가 진짜 곱들 다 간다 다 비리해서라 뭐
다 다라 민루 표서도他忙给民众给孙家的孙家嘞，民众给他都听给明年干用，这地空呢，看一年干用，他他都两个结婚，人家了谁呢？听那说那弄的有的嘛，俺晓得是的，光头人话有都是准备了。
Her village has no say in party decisions like these.
他想来的看，年现在单子的，不是想结果没不。 整个19个乡镇吧，就几乎都就没平民吧。
Although Butri's worked for the Communist Party for 40 years, she's never had a written contract. And without one, she won't get a pension. Butri now faces an uncertain future.
都是都是了嘛，这可是现在么去，全部控制么去，前年的明天的，他控制当个，在用这说明的，对。
Next time, a monk at the Pel Kor monastery dies and he's given a traditional Tibetan burial. Sifun, the youngest monk in the monastery, is threatened with expulsion. And Sultrim, the deputy head lama, prepares for the most important event of the year, the Buddha's birthday.